When I came straight from Oakland, it was still in me, disrespect things that would happen, how we handle it from the hood. You're just like, oh, okay, yeah, we just fight. It took a long time to learn to not put my hands on people, you know what I'm saying? It was a thing that happened with Eve that, we walking out and somebody grabbed her bag or something like that, and I just kind of turned around and slapped the girl. It's like, girl, what is you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, period. Like, back up, And Eve is really pissed off about that. Like, we stopped hanging out. Like, she was like, I can't hang with Keisha. Like, she can't be slapping people. And I was like, wait, I'll slap somebody for you. What the is this? But then it taught me a lot, too, later, too, because, even being who I am today, because she gets sued, too, you know what I'm saying? Me being a part of her crew, walking out the club, but I just, I should have left that to security. Somebody gets paid for that, you know what I mean?
Good morning, ladies. Well, it's almost afternoon, but I am just waking up for the day. It's about 11 a.m. Hubby says he wants some lemon pepper wings for lunch. I made that last night for dinner and he loved it. I also made some red beans and rice, so I'm gonna do this video and then I'm gonna go make him the rest of the wings, and then we're going out to dinner tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I was clicking around on YouTube and I came across this story on O'Shea's channel. I watched some of his videos. Some of them are quite funny. And I thought to myself, this is the perfect story to talk about being a reformed hothead and also hood mentality. Now, you don't have to come from the hood to be a hothead, okay? Or to have an anger issue. There are many people who were raised in very good families that just have anger problems. This is not a hood thing. It's not just a ghetto thing. Many of us have struggled with being a hothead, and I am one of those people. I'm someone that really doesn't bother people. I say what I want to say, I do what I want to do, but I never try to call people out by name so that I can, get people on my side and against them. I'll talk about an issue, but I really won't, call someone out for no reason. I just won't say their name. I won't do it. But if I am disrespected, when I was younger, I had a very hard time dealing with this. I had a very hard time just accepting disrespect. And this didn't happen to me often. I can only think of maybe like 3 times in my life where I think my temperament and my ability to be a hothead almost got me into some serious trouble. So when I look at someone like Keisha Cole, I see that this is obviously someone who grew up in a lot of dysfunction. We know her story. We know about her family. She showed us on television. Keisha grew up in a lot of dysfunction. And I think as she moved into Hollywood and, became an artist and started achieving some good things, that dysfunction stays with you. And looking at her life right now, looking at the way she's moving and what she's doing, I can see, why some of the things have happened with her. Keisha hasn't been able to maintain relationships. She's had a lot of family members, I think, who have tried to hold her back and hold her down. I think sometimes when people become successful, they feel guilt. They feel guilt because it's like, I'm doing better, I'm doing this. And we all can relate to this, right? Like when we do other things in our life that are different from what most people are doing, or you leave the country or something like that. I know, I feel that with my mom sometimes because me and my mom are so close, and I feel sometimes like guilt, like, I'm doing what's best for me, but I am away from my family. But this is what makes me happy. And so sometimes you do feel that guilt. And so I think in her way, it was about finances and about being able to thrive in a different environment. And I think that the dysfunction that she grew up in her family just kind of keeps her in a place. And I hope that she's able to evolve from that at this point. And let me say, I love Keisha Cole. I remember many, many years ago, me and my husband, we used to live in Virginia. And Keisha Cole came to this spot downtown in Virginia. And I think it was called the Norvik or something like that. But we went to her concert. It was a short little concert. It was like standing only. There was no like VIP or anything. It was just like, you know, she came, she did her thing. We had a blast that night. We hung out and we just had a great time. So I'm a fan of Keisha Cole. I like some of her songs. And you can just tell she's very raw. She tries to be who she is. And I can appreciate that because we all don't have to be the same. But like I said, when you bring dysfunction into a situation where you're trying to evolve, it's not going to work. And so I think that it's important to let people go. Sometimes we have to let people go. And this is why Eve had to let Keisha go. It doesn't mean that Eve lost love for Keisha, but she had to let Keisha go because Keisha hadn't grown to the point yet where Eve was at. And it's sad, and sometimes you feel bad, but you have to let people go, because if Eve wouldn't have let Keisha go, and if Eve wouldn't have changed and moved forward and done new things, and let me say, I when I look at Eve, I see someone really who never was truly like about this hip hop life. When I read Eve's story, it made me think about how this is someone who's just always been a hustler. And some of us will use, questionable things to do that. Eve, came right out of high school. She started stripping. She met Mace in the strip club, and he basically told her, "What are you doing here? What do you want to do with your life?" And letting her know she could do more than that. And Eve told him she wanted to be a rapper. She left with him. I think he let her listen to some beats. Maybe he connected her to someone. Maybe she just did it herself. I'm not really sure what happened after that. But Eve kind of became this really big star in the hip hop industry. But even when Eve became big, she never used overt sexuality to get to the top. I believe Eve has always been a woman that had grace about herself, even with those paw prints. And the paw prints are for me as a lady, but I love them on Eve. I have to admit it. As a rapper, you could get away with stuff like that. Entertainers can get away with things that us regular folks can't. And so I just think Eve always tried to carry herself in a way where it wasn't just about her sexuality. It was about her talent. It was about her drive. It was about her beauty. And, I think she made some mistakes in relationships. And Eve's current husband, when I was reading up on her, she said that this was the first white guy that she ever dated. And she was the first Black woman that he ever dated. And many people were negative about it, They were negative. They were saying disgusting things. She said she couldn't believe what people were saying about her. And, people have their opinions and thoughts about things. We're entitled to that, but we're not entitled to tear other people down and go on their page and tell them how we feel about their life. It's none of our business, So Eve had to kind of fight Blackistan, because Blackistan has ideas of how you should talk, how you should be, you're not Black enough if you don't do this, you're not Black enough if you don't do that, all that Hothead stuff. So Eve had to break free from that, because whatever she was doing in the past, it wasn't working for her in her love life. And so she moved forward and tried something new and took a risk. And I'm not for any type of love per se. I love when Black people can come together and marry and have families and build a community. But unfortunately, because of the dysfunction of the Black community, some women may not be able to settle down with, their counterpart in that way. And so Eve took a risk and she broke free of people's ideas of what she should do for her life. And I can relate to that. And we all know that Eve's husband is very rich. He's not a billionaire. I believe he's worth 60 million. Eve is worth 10 million herself. So he also didn't marry someone that would be considered a trash, They're both successful, but he, has more than her. But, I never heard Eve talk about him in the way as though he's a walking bank account. I believe Eve really got what she needed from this man. And it just so happened that he basically has more resources to offer her than she can offer herself. And that's a good thing. And I believe all good men strive for this. Most of us are not millionaires and billionaires. That's very rare, despite people talking about money all the time on social media. Most of us are just regular people, middle class, upper middle class. We're on the come up. Some of us are doing a little better. Some people are in the journey. When Eve talks about him, the thing that struck me that I loved is he loved her natural hair. And she said she was afraid of him seeing her natural hair, but he just embraced it, and he embraced her natural features. And that's such a beautiful thing when a man embraces your natural features, whether it's your curves or the structure of your face or whatever. When a man sees you for you, he even sees through our beauty and he sees our soul. That's how you know he's the one. You could be comfortable with him. You could be yourself with him. He has your back. And it seems like that's what Eve has. And now she has a family. She struggled with that, but she wanted a family. And now she has one. He has previous kids, lots of them, from a prior relationship. Normally, that would be something that I would not recommend for younger women, because most men cannot afford to support different kids in different homes. It's just messy. Resources are kind of being taken from your home and off your table. But in this case, he is wealthy enough where he can support those kids from his prior relationship. I believe he was married, and he can start a new relationship with Eve. And that happens sometimes. But normally this would not be an ideal situation. But because of his income bracket, this will not hurt Eve. So she had to let Keisha go. You heard the story, you heard what Keisha did, and you also heard Keisha's mentality. And that was her mentality at the time, and hopefully she has grown from that. But I can say from my personal experience of being a hothead, I remember when I was in college, and there was a girl who, I don't even know what she did to me. This is how petty it is. I don't know if she was just talking about me. I don't know if she walked up and said something to me. I don't know what the drama was about, but there was some drama. And I actually went up to her job and told her off good. I probably cussed her out, to be honest with you. I don't remember exactly what words I used or what I said, and I probably was like 19 at this time. I had just really started college. And that was a bad thing to do. It could have escalated the situation. I could have hurt her. We could have started fighting. We could have been arrested, and even though she tried me and I basically put her in her place, it wasn't a good feeling. It didn't make me feel like I had won, When you start getting older, you realize self-control, grace, understanding that you don't have to respond the way people respond to you really helps you thrive in life. It really does. And so I was a hothead. And if I wouldn't have changed, I wouldn't have a long-standing marriage that will be 17 years soon. I wouldn't be able to have good relationships with my family, with my siblings. I wouldn't be able to make the connections and work on all of the things that I'm doing. I wouldn't be able to have a good image. I wouldn't be able to help other women. When you get online or when you are out in the real world and you are using filthy, foul language, cussing people out, acting wild, uncouth, unrefined, people don't want to be around you. Not people that have anything to lose. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got stuff to lose. We have an image to uphold. You know, when you have a professional job, when you are part of different societies, different groups, people don't want to be around you when you at ghetto. That's just the truth of it. And so we got to separate. We have to separate from people who don't have anything to lose. See, I have a lot to lose because I have a lot. And I think that you can still love people. It doesn't mean completely throw them in the trash can, but sometimes you have to say, no, I can't hang out with you, girl. No. When your girlfriend start acting crazy and jumping on a couch and twerking out in public and dragging people for filth and, you know, like I said, using profanity and, you know, she can't maintain friendships. She can't maintain relationships. She can't get herself out of the gutter that she's in. You may have to say, I got to separate. Especially when you start doing bigger things like getting married and settling down and building a future with someone and having a family. And, you know, we have families. Even I am accountable to my family. My family watches everything I do. And if I do or say something that they don't like, they call me out on it. They are ashamed. They feel embarrassed because you represent your family. I'm going to do a different video on that. And so when people have nothing to lose, they're very dangerous. These are dangerous people. And as you grow and increase and go to other levels, and this could be spiritually, this could be mentally, this could be financially, but as you evolve, you don't want to be around people who are just not growing. They're stuck. You heard Keisha? Oakland was still in her. And when she refers to Oakland, that's that dysfunction. That dysfunction she grew up with. She brought it with her wherever she was. And you can always see a dysfunctional person. People who are thriving, who are growing, who are maturing, who are doing different things, who are settling down in life, doing their thing. One thing we can see very clear is dysfunction and mental illness at times. So all I can tell you from this video is sharing my story of being a hothead, although I didn't have too many conflicts like that. Like I said, I can only think of like 3 times in my life where I feel like I really had to dig into someone. Like during those times, I experienced unnecessary drama, unnecessary pain. And from that, I learned that this ain't for me, okay? This is gonna hurt me. I'm going to end up hurting somebody. Somebody's going to end up hurting me. This is going to damage my reputation. And I just learned that you don't need to give people the same energy. You can cut them off, or you can find intelligent, graceful ways to respond to a situation, you know? So that's why you'll never catch me online doing any type of cursing or, you know, wild things that would hurt my husband's image, that would hurt me, that would hurt my mom, my dad. You know, my grandparents have passed on now, but my husband has family. He has a grandmother. He has a mother. I have a mother-in-law. You know, I have people that are looking at me and I represent them. And I also have my own things going on. People I'm working with, they don't want to see me behaving that way. And so that's why Eve did what she did. I don't think it was malice. I don't think it was a thing like, oh, I'm abandoning you. But Eve is successful. Successful people are targets. You know, they live on a different level than we do. And Eve knew I could be sued. You know, I could be a part of unnecessary drama. And I'm not here for that. I'm here to hustle. I'm here to grind. I'm here to live a good life. I'm here to explore my talents. And Eve was not about the foolishness. So I think what we can learn from this particular story is leave them behind. Leave them behind. When you see people acting crazy, hood, out of control, hotheads. Because I know there are times in my life where I did not handle things correctly. But now I'm older. I'm older. I left that in my 20s. I said, okay, now we are living life. We're doing things. We're moving. We're shaking. And I grew even more. I knew I had the right examples, but that's the rebellion. We all go through a rebellious phase where it's like, okay, I know I shouldn't, but I'm going to do it anyway. But you got to grow out of that. If you don't grow out of it, you're never going to have that family, that marriage, that person that's there for you, good friends, opportunities for financial growth. You hurt yourself. You hurt yourself, and then you have to navigate with lowbrow people. Because those are the only people you will be able to relate to. So let's take this lesson from Eve and from my own life, and let's make sure we leave them behind. Leave them behind. If you want to excel, you got to leave some people behind. All right, ladies, I'm going to go ahead now and get my hubby's lunch together, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.